Tensions are rising ahead of a summit of the leaders of the world's top 20 industrial nations in the Turkish city of Antalya, and a security crackdown is underway. Here in the Turkish capital of Istanbul, police launched raids backed by helicopters to detain militants suspected of being loyal to Islamic State. This comes after a similar operation in Antalya saw 20 people detained, all of them suspected of links to the extremist terrorist group. Islamic State is expected to feature heavily on the G20 agenda, with the White House saying that President Obama will hold talks with his Turkish counterpart on the subject.
The president will participate in a bilateral meeting with President Erdogan of Turkey. Clearly, in addition to discussing the G20 summit and the agenda there, the two leaders will also be focused on our counter-ISIL efforts and the situation in Syria, where Turkey has been a critical ally and partner.
With Russian President Vladimir Putin also expected at the G20 summit, the situation in East Ukraine will also be on the table. Militants backed by Russian troops have been fighting Ukrainian forces in the region for some 18 months. Russia has been sanctioned by the West for its involvement in the conflict, though the Kremlin has continually denied any involvement. Putin this week questioned the motivation behind a recent defense bill voted through the U.S. Congress, which allocates some $50 million to Ukraine for lethal military aid. The Russian leader was largely ostracized at last year's G20 meeting and left early, citing a lack of sleep. The Kremlin denied reports at the time that he departed because of tensions with other leaders over Ukraine. In Washington, they say that this year Obama has no plans to meet him.
This schedule is very packed. And there are, frankly, a number of bilateral meetings that would be nice to have had in Antalya that won't be possible in the compressed time that we have. But we expect that the president will have the opportunity to see Putin and others not only at the G20 in Turkey, but we also know, for example, that President Putin will be in Paris at the climate summit.
In Antalya, meanwhile, preparations are at the final stage, with Turkish President Tayyip Recep Erdogan making a tour of inspection. The stage is set, security is tight, and the flags are in place. All that remains is for the world's leaders to arrive.